Hey guys, this is an answer to 1Zangelique's contest, which his contest was pick the single greatest comic book in comic book history. And I'm going to assume that means American comic book history, because I can't even tackle Japanese and European comic book history. And I can't really. Who can pick the greatest? He also said you could pick a run or an arc or a series, I guess. There's already been some really good videos on this. I know that Scott Constant Bronstars picked Commandy 1, which is a very legitimate choice. Both Gare, 1Zangelique, and Howler Mouse chose the 3-issue original Silver Surfer Galactus saga in the Old Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And I also saw Cursive Man pick out the most recent Thor arc by Jason Aaron, which I thought was a cool choice because he went with something modern instead of something old. Part of me thinks I should be choosing Action Comics #1 or Detective 27. In fact, I think it was a few issues after Detective 27 where they first did the origin of Batman, and maybe that would legitimately be the single most important. Greatest is even harder than important, I think. But a single super influential kind of comic book, because I think the origin of Batman brought the kind of origin that really counted and that has really made Batman what he is today and has been for so long, and has been kind of a template for other superheroes that really matter, like Spider-Man or so many others. But, with the death of his parents, like Superman he wasn't born with his powers, but his powers just were. And then his response to those powers was to be a superhero. And that's cool. But Batman decided to become a superhero because of the outside world. Because of the conditions of the world, he decided to fix things, and he made himself into a superhero. And that is way cooler. And so, in a way, I think that's like the greatest comic book ever. I don't own it. I know I've read reprints of it at some point. So I couldn't guarantee you that it's a really great comic book because I haven't read it in so long. So I'm waffling here, and I'm going to make my official pick. So in a way, I'm picking two things. I'm picking the Batman origin story, but I'm also going to pick an issue of Jack Kirby's New Gods. And I could argue the 11-issue New Gods run of Jack Kirby, which I only own completely in these reprints from the early 80s. I own a few random original issues. But these 11 issues could be amongst the most dynamic comic book runs ever. So much created in those few 11 issues, all of which is still used to some degree or another. The complexity and the richness of it, I think, remain as an inspiration to other comic book creators. And there's a single issue, which was New Gods #7, and the story was called The Pact. And it goes back in time before the sort of current events where Lightray and Orion are struggling with Darkseid, and that also spills over into Mr. Miracle and the Forever People, of course. And it gives us a bit of a backstory about Isaiah, the Inheritor, and his wife Avia, and their encounters with Steppenwolf and Darkseid. And eventually they make a pact to make a kind of peace between them, a truce, by trading their sons. so that the son of Isaiah, who becomes the High Father later, moves to grows up on Darkseid's planet Apocalypse, where he is known as scot-free, raised by Granny Goodness, escaping to Earth to become Mr. Miracle. And Darkseid's son is given to the High Father to raise as his son, and he becomes he becomes Orion, of course, sort of the greatest in the battle against Darkseid. So it's truly kind of an epic setup. Just kind of an amazing, it has an amazing story with just these wild worlds and characters brought into focus. And it's, I was listening to Howler Mouse when he's talking about the Silver Surfer and Galactus, and that the kind of biblical stuff that plays into that, with Galactus as God and the Silver Surfer either as Jesus or Jesus, or could be viewed as Lucifer Morningstar, the fallen angel. And that little book is very New Testament in its feel. It's almost got like plagues in it and stuff. And this kind of reminds you of Abraham's sacrifice of his father. It also, has shades of Thor and Loki from Norse mythology, and it has also in history, I believe, there are times where to create peace, different kingdoms would trade the king's children. The king's children would go live in the other king's court, and who would attack a country where your children are living. So all of that is just pumped up in the New Gods, in this Jack Kirby world, in such a fantastic way. So, who can say what is the greatest comic book story ever told? But in all of the comics I've read, I've ended up most impressed. I have an incoming call. My car is talking to me. Thanks again, Gary, for having this contest. I'll talk to you later.